Hey everybody, Jason and John here for Everyday Crypto, sponsored by CryptoTaxShield.com. Jason, thanks so much. I hope you had a good 4th of July. I appreciate you taking some time today.
I had a great 4th of July. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, now we're back into the swing of things. It's July. I just thought, you know what? Let's get Jason, our guru, on here and kind of see what are we looking at in terms of July. I know it's kind of an important month, just fiscally. So I thought maybe we'll start there, and then I've got a few other questions down the road. So
that's great. If I could, please, if you find any entertainment or educational value in this at all, please like and subscribe. It helps us help you. And believe it or not, we are not financial advisors. Do your own research.
Absolutely.
So July is going to be a big month. We got lots of information coming out in July. For example, everyone's been speculating on whether or not we're in a recession or not.
Right.
But by definition, recession is two back-to-back quarters where the gross domestic product comes in negative.
Right.
And those numbers come out here in July, and it's going to be for sure a recession. There's no chance it's not. And people I know, you go to the grocery store,
Yeah.
But we also have the Consumer Price Index, which is a inflation measurement. That's going to come out. That's going to be bad. And then we've got the Federal Reserves are meeting later this month to most likely increase interest rates by 75 basis points again, which, if people are unaware, 75 basis points is dramatic. That historically, that's a huge increase. And it'll be after a previous 75 basis point increase. So that's pretty dramatic. I anticipate July will be pretty rough.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we talked a little bit last week about, my mom's looking to buy a new house and sell her house. And boy, things are, every time you and I talk, I'm just like, the rates, are just going to be, they're all over the place. I got some quotes today at like 4 3/4, just sort of standard right now.
That's pretty good rate for now.
Well, yeah, it is. But I mean, she's also sitting at like 3 right now. So just in terms of, I mean, it's all relative, right? But yeah that's crazy. So with that being said, in your estimation, in your opinion, how did we get to this sort of ugly place?
It's a great question, John. That's a really good question. So you'd have to go back all the way to 1970.
Okay.
In 1970, the U.S. government took the dollar off the gold standard.
Yep.
So previous to 1970, every dollar was backed by equal amount of gold. You could actually take that dollar to your bank or the Federal Reserve and get gold in return for it.
Right.
But some very smart men realized that if they took the dollar off the gold standard, they can manipulate the money supply and therefore have more control over the population.
Gotcha.
And ever since then, you can follow the path. Very smart economists have been screaming from the rooftops ever since then that this ends badly.
Right.
People who are super, I don't know what you call them, but people who praise gold versus as an investment, this is their argument.
Right.
That gold is limited, it's scarce.
Right.
Whereas you're printing off dollars nonstop, that's not scarce. And we have short-term politicians, right? So when a politician gets in, they have 4 years, maybe 8. And they want the 8. So while they're in for the 4, they do whatever it takes to keep a positive, sentiment on what they're doing.
Sure.
No president wants to be the bad guy. Right. So they keep kicking the can down the road. So every time a major problem happens, like, for example, the 2008 housing collapse, they just printed off money to solve the problem.
Right.
And I'll give you an idea. When I was 13, it would have costed every American household something around $12,000 to pay off the national debt. Today, it's $234,000 per household.
Wow.
So as you can see, it's unpayable.
Sure.
There's a thing called the M1 money supply, and it's a graph that shows how much money has been produced since inception.
Sure.
And the graph looks pretty normal. It's a slight positive. A slight positive slope until 2008. And in 2008, you see this beep, this huge blip on the screen. And that's dramatic on its own. But when you look to what happened after the pandemic, it's a straight hockey stick.
Right.
We printed off something like $7 to $9 trillion during the pandemic, and we gave it away as free money.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was watching TV with my wife, and they announced that most people should stay home and not go to work, and we're giving away all this free money. And I remember looking at her saying, "Babe, this is terrifying." She goes, "What do you mean? You know, people are dying and people need money." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I understand that, but this ends badly.
Absolutely.
You can't print off money like that on that level and give it out. The most expensive money is free money."
Right.
Economists understand that things like welfare, which is free money, is actually a drag on the economy.
Mm-hmm.
When a guy goes to work and produces whatever goods and services, it adds to the machine.
Mm-hmm.
The global economic machine keeps running.
Right.
When you give away free money, there's nothing produced, so it doesn't help the machine.
Right.
And the whole globe gave out free money during the pandemic, right?
Oh yeah.
So the pandemic was the straw that broke the camel's back, but we were heading there regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fact. It really isn't. This is the whole argument for Bitcoin. This is what people don't understand. Bitcoin's not a fad. It's not like what do you call, like a happy face rock, or those things were called.
Right. The pet rock. Yeah.
It's not that.
Right.
It's technology. It's programmable money,
Mm-hmm.
and it's extremely scarce. People used to say, and they still just say, that gold is scarce, and that's somewhat true. Right now, the market cap of gold is $12 trillion.
Right.
But they just found a gold reserve in Uganda
I saw that.
that doubles the supply of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's not that scarce at all, really. If you can
Right.
double it in one spot, it's not that scarce.
Right.
Right now, if Bitcoin was the global standard for financial settlements,
Right.
none of these problems would exist because you can't print it off.
Right.
That's it. You can't. There'll be 21 million in existence ever, and that's all there is to it. No one can ever print off more of it. And that makes it extremely scarce,
Right.
which is ultimately what you want your money to be. You want it to be stable and scarce. You don't want it to be in the hands of centralized entities like your banks or your governments who can do whatever they want with it that benefits them, not the people so much.
Right. Crazy. Yeah. It's interesting to see how a half century of traveling down down the wrong road, it gets us here, and it not only does it seem like bad just policy got us here, but nobody's thinking ahead, right? So you want to prepare for pandemics, you want to prepare for world wars, you want to prepare for all these things, but if you're already off on the wrong tangent and then you've got to deal with those things, that's a terrible perfect storm.
John, there are red flags that people aren't really noticing.
Yeah.
And I probably only notice it because I watch 10 hours of financial news a day.
Right.
From 20 different sources, right? None of which are major television.
Mm-hmm.
2 of the 4 world powers in the last 6 months have closed down their banks to the people.
Yep.
Russia, when the war happened, and then China just a few weeks ago, 2 of their major banks would not open because they didn't have the money to pay out the people who wanted their money, the citizens. Yeah. That is a major red flag. Those are 2 world powers that should never have that ever happen. Right. But people forget. In 1929, this is what happened to America. They shut the banks down because they didn't have enough money to pay you out.
Right.
Another red flag is Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has officially gone bankrupt. Wow. And there are video, clips of citizens waiting miles to try and get just a little bit of gasoline. There's video clips of the poor who can't get food or gas or anything else storming the wealthy neighborhoods, and the wealthy sitting on the top of their houses shooting.
Right.
But this is what happens. Mm-hmm. There's this thing most people understand. It's called fractional reserve banking.
Yeah.
So you think you go to your bank and you give them $100 and you put it in your checking or savings account and it sits there, but it doesn't. Right. It gets leveraged out. Really only about $2 sit there, and the rest is lent out on like something like a 10x level. So they get $8 and they get permission to lend out 80.
Right.
That's leverage, right? And your dollar is extremely leveraged, and your banks are doing it. And we've talked about the consequences of leverage on this show several times. We're seeing it now with all these crypto exchanges, not opening their doors.
Right.
And this is how it happens. It's the global economy is extremely leveraged, and it all started. The whole problem started when they took the dollar off the gold standard.
Crazy. So, and this might be another topic for another show, but you hear little quips here and there from some of the more conspiratorial people talking about a great reset. Have you done any sort of a deep dive into that, what that means on a practical level?
Yeah. So guys like me have been seeing this runaway train coming for a long time.
Right.
I mean, I was talking about this in the late 90s. Like it's nothing new.
Sure.
And the Federal Reserve has come out and said, at all costs, we are going to slow down interest or inflation.
Yeah.
When they say at all costs, they mean at all costs. If it demolishes the price of your house, if it demolishes the housing market, if it crashes the stock market, if it crashes crypto, they do not care.
I got you.
And they do not. And I don't want to be the conspiracist kind of guy.
Sure.
But you can see where this is going. It's, they've already started talking about and developing, and China's already developed it, what they call CBDCs, cross-border digital currencies, which are government-ran crypto.
Okay.
So it's where they take your dollar, they say it's illegal, and then they give you digital dollars.
Got it.
In my opinion, if a great reset is coming, it will come in that form.
I see.
Because all of the globe's major powers, they're bankrupt on paper.
Sure.
As we are in America as well. It's just the global powers don't suffer as during small countries like Sri Lanka, they go under because they don't matter on the global scale.
Sure.
But America's allowed to be in such debt because we are the global standard. China's a global standard. You put Japan and Russia and the European Union, they're all in the same range.
Sure.
But that's not infinite. Right? There is a breaking point somewhere. So I think a great reset probably is being spoken about, from the guys who actually run this globe. And that's how they're probably going to try and fix the debt problem, which I don't know if people know this or not, but there's not enough money that exists in this world to pay off the amount of debt that exists.
Right.
So that means pretty much the globe is officially bankrupt.
Right.
So at some point, there probably does have to be some sort of reset or something that starts this whole thing over again.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah. Very interesting. Well, man, this is good. I mean, this is not great news, but I appreciate the perspective. And maybe this will be, I mean, as we've talked about in the previous few episodes, now's a really good time to maybe perhaps look at some crypto while you can get it at a nice discount, and get your feet wet and give it a shot. So
I know all this sounded pretty gloomy, but to be honest with you, it's very optimistic for a guy like me because when things are super ugly, that's where opportunity truly exists. Like when the pandemic hit, the first thing I said to myself is, okay, where's the opportunity? Because this is a once in a lifetime kind of thing. And there was opportunity. This is the same situation. If you were eyeballing Tesla stock at $1,800, you should be eyeballing now at $400.
Yep.
If you're looking to buy Bitcoin at $70,000, you should be very excited about buying it at anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000. This is where wealth is made.
Yep.
And you'll see this. The JP Morgans of the world, the very smart, wealthy investors, they love times like this.
Right.
Because it's opportunity. Opportunity isn't buying something when Tesla's $1,800 and it's up 500% in the last 2 years. That's not really good buying opportunity. Right. It just feels like it. It's not, though.
Right.
$400 is a good Tesla price.
Absolutely right. Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time. We'll do another one of these very soon. And as always, CryptoTaxShow.com. Appreciate your time.
John, as always, I appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Talk soon.
You got it.